With the upcoming presidential election, you might be looking at the two-party system with intrigue. What's with these red and blue animals, and why are they running the country? Well, today we'll be addressing the elephant in the room, the GOP. To get an understanding of the grand old party, imagine it's the 1950s.
The 1950s, a simpler time. Back then, the biggest threats to good old Uncle Sam were communism, socialism, and Dennis the Menace trampling Mr. Wilson's prized petunias. Oh, what a little rascal. Yes, our great nation was a little different back then. Women were considered household objects like lamps or coffee tables. Minorities were still the minority, and homosexuals didn't exist. Science? Science was just another word teachers taught you in school, like lamp or coffee table. You see, because our beloved America was still the ideal Christian country established by our forefathers.
Now imagine it was that way forever. You now understand the GOP. But let's cover the basics. The GOP preaches maintaining family values, but what does that mean?
Donald Trump, what's traditional about being married 3 times?
Well, they have a very good point.
Well, they use a limited definition of the word family. Simple, nuclear, heterosexual families would be best, with emphasis on the heterosexual. If you're more comfortable with a man beating his wife than 2 men holding hands, you'll fit right in. But the gays aren't the only threat to America. For reasons not clearly defined by the Bible, abortion is against the will of God. And if we look at the GOP's patented threat to America list, you'll see they have socialism, the war on Christmas, Muslims, and the wrath of God. So, by that logic, it's a necessary evil to restrict women's rights. It's for their protection.
Stand up and just vote our values, vote biblical values. And that's how we turn the country around.
Now, I made a comment about Muslims earlier, and to be fair, the GOP doesn't actually have a problem with other ethnicities. Except, of course, for Muslims, because they're terrorists, Hispanics because they bring drugs into the country, and black people because they're kind of scary. But they're not racist!
I have many friends that are Muslims.
Similarly, border control is a hot topic for the GOP, but drugs and Mexicans aren't their only problem with Mexico. Illegal immigration is a huge issue we face in this country. You have to realize that these illegal aliens are taking our jobs and not paying taxes. And that's not because they have lawyers to find loopholes in tax laws or move their multi-billion-dollar company overseas. These people are cheating the system.
My view is I have paid all the taxes required by law.
And sure, of course we could just make the immigration process easier. But as a rebuttal, why do that when we can just build a giant concrete wall? Checkmate, liberals. Science can be confusing, but if you're in the Republican Party, you can simply choose between facts and opinions, making life dramatically easier. Is global warming threatening to destroy our entire planet? Choose not to believe in it, and it goes away.
Climate change is not science. It's religion.
It's amazing how many problems we can solve with ignorance. Unfortunately, this doesn't solve everything, like ISIS, or Muslims, or terrorists who are Muslim. For this, we need an army in perpetual war, because if you're in the GOP, you know that terrorism needs to be fought. And the best way to fight a concept is to blow it up.
You have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families.
I would be remiss if I didn't cover the GOP's love of guns, and to be fair, it's not a perfect relationship. There are a lot of bad people with guns out there.
None of the major shootings that have occurred in this country over the last few months or years that have outraged us would gun laws have prevented them.
Fortunately, the secret to fixing this is to simply provide more guns with fewer restrictions. That way, it makes it easier for good people to get their hands on them.
The answer is simple. You prosecute criminals. You target the bad guys.
If you're a large business owner, the GOP is perfect for you. They're really against big government. And this is mostly so that the government doesn't infringe on the rights of its citizens, or provide healthcare educational services. But this comes with the added bonus of fewer tax and trade restrictions on large companies. So it's a win-win. If you're not a large business owner, I'm sorry, but the GOP might screw you over on this one. Sure, they might appeal to your hatred of gender equality, love of guns, homophobia, and racism, but do you really want to support a party that keeps big business's interest above your own? If the answer to that question is yes, then you'll fit right in. That's all the time I have today, but be sure to join us for the next Off-Brand Guide.
Boom, 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 boom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
Sing it with me, Junior.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America